So go ahead and start firing away.
Alrighty, so you said you enlisted in '68?
Drafted in
Or
'68.
drafted, yeah. So where were you living at the time?
I was living in Taggart.
Why did you choose the branch you like? When did you?
I didn't choose it, they chose me. I was signed up to go to Oregon State and got a student deferment the first time. I graduated in the end of May. And first time I was gonna go to Oregon State, signed up. And second time, I didn't have the, while going for the student deferment, I didn't have enough classes. So Marine Corps was drafting at that time. So I was in the induction center in Portland, and they said, welcome to the Marine Corps, and that was it. Yeah.
What do you recall from your first days in the service?
First days in the service, okay, pretty scared, and didn't know where I was headed, this and that, it was pretty tough, but first days, now you're talking boot camp days?
Yep.
Just starting down to boot camp? Boot camp, of course, Marine Corps boot camp, you guys probably heard, it's not a vacation, it's not a cakewalk, it's pretty tough. So I figured I'm gonna make the best of it, because they promised me that if I did real good in boot camp, I got hornswoggled. They said, you're a high school graduate, most guys weren't, that were in there at that time. They said, if you do real good in boot camp, we'll send you to Kansas City, Missouri, data processing school. And I said, great. I said, I think I'll go for that. So I did real good. I mean, I did excellent. And I was squad leader of boot camp. I was top notch. Then A through S, when it came down to jobs, was 0311. I was infantry, Vietnam. I said, wait a minute. I'm going to go to Kansas City, Missouri for training. They looked at me and smiled and said, you fell for that one, huh? There you go. So, need I say any more? They had me, and there was no escape.
So where all did you go when after boot camp?
Okay, extensive training, well, not real extensive training. There was, I went into boot camp in July 24th of '68, just after graduation. Okay. We were called shake and bake in boot camp. It was supposed to be 12 weeks, but they knocked it down to 8 weeks because they had to have warm bodies in Vietnam to fight the war. And so that was kind of a strange deal. And so 8 weeks of boot camp, and probably just a couple months of rigorous training. Not the best in the world. I think they could have done better, but that's all right. So Christmas morning, I was in Vietnam. Christmas morning. That was what an eye opener. 18-year-old kid, Christmas morning. Merry Christmas. Yeah, great.
And you said your job was to control the 15 group men?
Okay, I was in 0311. That's called infantry in the Marine Corps. I did so well in boot camp and training that they had me picked to be, first of all, a team leader in charge of 3 other men. There's 3 teams in each squad. Squad is 15 men. And then I did that for a month, and I knew how to read a map and compass. Most guys didn't. That was kind of scary. But so I became a squad leader after 3 months. But I turned 19 at that time, though, so I was a 19-year-old squad leader in charge of 15 men in the middle of a jungle. Pretty scary stuff.
So when you first got to Vietnam, what was it like?
When I first got to Vietnam, I was kind of, well, I was scared, of course, extremely scared. Then they didn't give me my orders at stateside, but most guys got their orders. So I went over there, and they said, anybody that doesn't have orders, follow me. So I followed them. There's a couple of us, and they gave me a manila envelope. It was in Da Nang, about in the middle of the country. Big base there, big army base. They gave me my orders, and had D1/9 on it. And there was a guy going home. He says, hey, Marine, what outfit did you get? I said, I have no idea. I showed him my paperwork. He looked at me and just shook his head. He says, you're dead. Nobody makes it out of 1-9. We were nicknamed the Walking Dead before the program. 72% of us didn't make it. So it was a pretty bad outfit. Yeah, so I said, oh boy. from bad to bad to bad to worse. So, and here I'm an 18-year-old kid, and I said, no, this isn't happening to me. I thought I was in a nightmare, great big nightmare, but it wasn't a nightmare. It was, but it wasn't. Okay.
Oh, so like how much combat did you see there?
I saw quite a bit of combat. I was shot the first time 2 days after my 19th birthday, in February 26, 1969. Shot the first time. I'm not bragging, but I got the Bronze Star. I took out a machine gun position that had us all pinned down. I got shot in the head. Matter of fact, here's the helmet I was wearing. Bullet went in here and exited out here.
Almost.
That was 2 days after my 19th birthday. Okay. Lieutenant asked me, why'd you go up the hill like that? I said, well, couldn't turn around and come back down. I could have. Lost two of my good buddies that died going up the hill. But that's war. And like I said, I got the Bronze Star for taking out the machine gun nest. You guys can pass that around. So that was a rude awakening, big time. And it was just that I saw a lot of combat. I say way too much combat. I was wounded several times. After that, just shot in the rear end, helping my buddy. A lot of what we call pepper, being peppered. When they throw a grenade in on you, boom, explodes, everybody gets hit. And you just have shrapnel marks all over you and whatnot. But that was no biggie. So we had to grow up real fast. I mean, it just wasn't right sending kids over there, which we were kids, but we grew up fast. But saw lots of combat. I could go on for a month of Sundays telling you instances about the combat I was in. But if you were in the outfit of Walking Dead 1-9, you saw quite a bit of combat.
What were like some of your like assignments for like what was your job in while you were?
Okay, the assignment we spent, we were supposed to be, we were hunted down by Ho Chi Minh. He was the leader of the North in Vietnam who we were fighting against. We killed his son, our outfit did, so he wanted us. So we were always getting attacked. Okay, that's why we had such a high casualty rate. Okay, said, no, what was the question again?
So like what was your job?
Okay, job, okay. Like I say, I was the squad leader in charge of 15 other men. Most of the time it was just 8 men because we had such a big turnover, casualty rate, and we couldn't get our troops to fill in the ranks fast enough. So it was usually about a short squad, 8 men, 8 to 10 men. And that was pretty tough, but that was, you made patrols in the jungle every other day. Then every other night you had to set up for a night ambush to go out. And that's the most bug-infested country in the world. Leeches, mosquitoes, unbelievable. But just the main thing is patrol, try to stay off the main trails because they were going to ambush you. And because, it was war. It was, they were hunting you and we were hunting them. And every once in a while we'd meet up and there would be a big battle. And so that was the way it, but it was a tough, grueling days, 30 days at a time in the jungle. And we'd come back after that 30 days, we'd get if you were lucky enough to get a shower, you had to have, they'd be even or odd, who was odd and who was even numbers, got a shower that day. And maybe a hot meal, maybe, but not usually. Then you'd get resupplied, you'd get fresh troops, and next morning, right back out in the jungle, another operation. So we were always on the move, always. And well, we had this jacket here, it's called a flak jacket. If it wasn't for one of these, put this up here. If it wasn't for one of those, I wouldn't be here today. They stopped shrapnel, they won't stop a bullet, but they'll stop shrapnel. We had to wear this jacket and 100 pounds of ammunition and whatnot on our backs and packs, 6 canteens of water, 100 pounds on us, and going up and down mountains and hills every day. That was quite a chore.
What do you have like a memorable experience? Like you remember a lot of like fun times you had when you were over, like with your buddies or?
You know, there wasn't a whole bunch of fun times, but you know, so we had we had days where during the monsoons, it would rain real hard. The enemy would be hunkered down, and so would we. You didn't want to move because you took one step up a hill, you'd slide back 5, and you just find the biggest or shallowest mud puddle. You'd put that flak jacket down in the mud and put the helmet on top and put your head on top of it so you didn't drown. That's how bad it rained over there. But the enemy activity was pretty nil. So that was kind of that was a good time because you weren't getting shot at or hunted down. But you were at ease, you know. Whoa, okay, no more fighting. And but that's then the leeches were horrible. You'd wake up in the morning. One morning I couldn't open my eyes. I had leeches on my eyelids and up in my nose. Just the buggiest country in the world. But not only did you have to put up with the enemy, you had to put up with the environment, and it was just nasty. Then of course the enemy.
What all were you, like, medals or citations? Just, what all?
Okay, I got the Bronze Star for Combat V for taking the hill. This, pass this around here. This is me. And girls, I used to be really good looking back then. So take a good look at me. Don't look at me now. The bullet went through my helmet and went, bounced off the guy behind me, his helmet. That was the day after we took the hill, and we're smiling. We almost died the day before, but we just, now what was the question again?
Any awards or
Okay,
medals or anything?
I got the Bronze Star for taking out the machine gun position. And that was a tough one. I got shot in the head, and my buddy Robach, he was killed. He got shot across the chest. The guy next to me, they got him in the head also. Then he got me in the head, and I went down, well, I went back, and I got to my knees, and there's all kinds of, you know, shooting going on, this and that and that and this, and RPGs, rocket propelled grenades going off. So I jumped up on my knees, and I tried to get the sweat out of my eyes. My hands were all red. I said, oh man. Then I saw my helmet sitting up there. I said, oh jeez, that's not good. So I went up there with a grenade, pulled the pin, let the spoon fly, counted to 5, and slipped it in their bunker. And I got, you know, and you don't brag about taking my life. That's one thing that it's a horrible thing to do, is take another human life. So you never brag about that. It's horrible. It's not good. They were just kids like us. You know, it was wrong. But I got the Bronze Star for doing that. Then I got the well, one instance. Now I'm not bragging, but my buddy got in trouble. I guess when I got shot in the rear end, he got in trouble, and I went down there, and he died. I had to cut his leg off of the left of it and punch him in the face because they were keying on him. That's the horrors you have to go through in a war of that nature. But they gave me the Navy Commendation with the Combat V for heroism that day. But the day after, I was feeling pretty bad because I was one of my best buddies. He was a pretty good guy from St. Louis, Missouri. They came down and says, well, she says, you know, Sarge, I was a sergeant then. We found 5 dead ones in front of you and 7 drag marks where they dragged their dead bodies off. And I just looked at him and I says, Captain, I says, I really don't care. He says, we're going to put you in for a medal. I said, I really don't care. I said, how about just sending me home? He says, we can't do that. And I said, phew. I said, okay, whatever. But then I was wounded 4 different times, but awarded 2 Purple Hearts, and awarded the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry with the Bronze Pommier. So I had an exciting time over there. I'll put it. A lot of action, you bet. Okay.
So you said you got shot in the rear end. What other injuries? Like any other big injuries?
Yeah, a lot of, like say, you know, I mentioned before, you get peppered during a firefight. Boy, you just, you know, usually the fighting was done at night. And after, when morning would come up, boy, man, you're kind of looking around, who got hit, who's wounded, and this and that and that and this, and, you know, dispersing your ammunitions, because some guys and foxholes be out, you know, because if they got hit harder. So you kind of get things settled down, stuff like that, and you'd look down in that flak jacket I just passed around there, you'd see it have all kinds of burn marks in it where you got hit with shrapnel. Well, okay, whatever. And a lot of times you'd get hit. Of course, I got hit. I've got 32 pieces of metal in me still, and one bullet still left in me. But you'd go to the corpsman and they'd say, hey, Doc, whew, patch me up. And so he'd take some, I don't know what it was called, medicine, but he'd just patch you up until you got back to the rear and saw a real doctor. Because when I got shot in the head, I didn't get medevac because we were too short of men. So I had to be out there with a great big headache and I couldn't hardly see straight for a few days.
How deep did that go into your head?
What's that?
How deep did it go into your head?
I've got a big dip in my skull right here. I got extremely lucky, let me tell you. The corpsman up top of the hill says another eighth of an inch, you'd been in the graveyard. But my parents were sent a telegram home saying that I was killed in action, and my body be home in 10 days for burial. And they put me in a body bag. Not this time here. One of the other times that we were hit, we went to a place called Quezon, just a nasty place. Boy, did we get hammered. We got hammered big time. This leg here, I lost my knee. It was in back of me. Got shot, thrown a grenade, got shot through the arm, went out, the bullet went out my shoulder. Got bayoneted, and I was in pretty bad shape. And I got shot 3 times in the groin. And I was in pretty bad shape, so they put me in a body bag, because I was gone. And I said, okay, whatever. And the gunner on the helicopter, the gunship, after all the battles and stuff, and the helicopter, it takes the dead and wounded out. They get out of range, he just sat back and sat on me, and I must have squealed. He jumped up and ripped the bag open, and grabbed my hand. He started screaming at the pilot with his headset, we got a warm one, we got a warm one. And I said, wow. He says, hang on, hang on. I said, what else am I gonna do? So we get there and had an interview with the doctor surgeon, a reunion with him, Dallas, Texas, here about 10 years ago. He said, man, they dumped you out of that body bag. He said, man, you had an attitude. I've never heard cuss words like that in my life. He said, why didn't you do something or say something? I said, Doc, you know, I never died before. I didn't know how to act. He said, you got me on that one. So we had a pretty good reunion, you know, and he patched me up, and they were going to take my leg off, and I didn't want them to take the leg off, but they saved it. It's paralyzed from the knee down, but they saved it. And, he spent 4 hours on that leg, and if you can't save a limb in 1 hour, they take it off because there's so many troops coming through. You know, the operating rooms, they only had so much room and time. But he worked on that leg for 4 hours, and he saved it. And, well, he started crying like a baby. He says, virtually impossible for you to walk up to me and shake my hand. Because they were going to take my arm off, too, because I had a big hole, and that arm was almost gone. But I say it wasn't the best vacation I've ever been on. And I tell people my next vacation, I'm going with a different travel agent, because that guy that sent me over there lied to me. But see, there's some humor in it. I mean, you had to have humor too.
So like,
Okay.
how do you get around? Are you like fine now, or like what problems do you have?
I've got it mastered. That's what the doctors say, the VA stuff like that. I hardly limp, and I was never supposed to use this hand again. Works just fine. I came out smelling like a rose as far as I'm concerned. Had some pretty good doctors in the VA system and military hospitals. I spent 4 years in the military hospital system. 4 years. I had to learn how to walk again, learn how to use my hand again. It was quite a deal. Yeah.
How did you stay in touch with your family?
Okay, my folks were deaf mutes, so I know how to sign real well. They were deaf mutes, and one day went back in the rear. They, hey Sarge, we got a Mars system here. You want to call home? I said, yeah, I'd love to call home. They said, oh, you go, they're sending it all. What's the phone number? I said, don't worry about it. My folks are deaf mutes. He said, get out of here. So he gave it. So you got to call home once in a while, but communication was by letters. And we got mail call, which was like Christmas. You see a chopper come in with supplies, we'd be in the jungle and stuff like that. You see a chopper come in. If you saw a red bag That was mail. Whoa, jeez. Christmas, man, that was all right. You're gonna get, and you got your letters, then you had to burn them. Because if you got captured or whatnot, they would take those letters and address and write home to your family saying that they have you and you're captured, send money. That was real prevalent back then. So you had to burn your letters once after you read them. And so that was kind of tough, but man, mail call was fantastic. Yeah, that was, and it didn't happen probably about every 2 weeks. Then if you wrote a letter, a chopper would come in, take out wounded or dead or whatever, or bring in supplies. They had a little window, and you'd run up, one guy grab everybody's letters and run up there, and while the chopper was sitting waiting to take off, because they couldn't stay there long because they'd be shot up, you know. So you had to run up there real quick, and the guy, chopper pilot, open up the window, grab the letters, get in, boy, off they go. You had to be real quick, but that's the only way we get letters home. And okay, fire away.
How was the food?
Food? Boy, I tell you. We had sea rations. You've probably heard stories of them, I don't know, but nasty stuff. They were made for the Second World War, 1944 was stamped on them. And this is 1968, 69, 1944. It was about 5 steps below dog food, canned dog food. But you had, if you got lucky enough to get Tabasco sauce or something of that nature, we ate a lot. The enemy would have rice socks. They'd have rice on them. We'd take the enemy's rice and we'd cook it in our helmets and mix in some of the sea rations in with it. And then it was edible. But yeah, well, that brings on an instance too that I was on patrol one day with my men, and I was crossing the creek, and there was fish in there like that. And I'm a fisherman. Man, that's nice, but no fishing gear, you know. So we got on the hillside, covered us, 2 guys, and there was a big hole down below. Threw a couple grenades in there, and there was a washout. And the fish were up there like that. Man, we got about a dozen of them. We made little stringers, and we go back up the top of the hill, you know, where the rest of the outfit is. Lieutenant standing there with his hands on a big red-headed guy. He looks at me, he says, "Huh, on a fishing trip, huh?" "Yes, sir." He says, "You know we're fighting a war over here?" Says, "Yes, sir, I realize that." He said, "Boy, he just chewed me out one side, down the other, my God." And he had to do it for the rest of the guys, you know, he was an act. He came over next to me, he says, "When's supper?" I said, "I'll let you know." Man, I tell you, they were like suckers, you know, but man, did they taste good. We made a little fire in our foxhole and cooked them that way. Man, they were good. But sea rations were, I'd say about 5 steps down from canned dog food. It was just nasty. Yeah, you had to eat it. There was one time we went 10 days without eating, and we'd dig up roots, and we'd boil roots in our helmets and try to eat them. And just to have something in our bellies, and it just, we ate grubs, we ate rats, and we ate snakes. Anything you could get to eat, you had to, because we just, especially during the monsoons, they couldn't bring helicopters in. Just the weather, they just couldn't do it. And then if you're in a bad area, the helicopter would try to come in, they'd get shot down. So you were just out of luck. You just had to be on your own. Yeah, but yeah, the food, I was saying that we have, I still say it to this day, it's on the side of my barn. Every day's a holiday, because I kept looking up, Lord, you get me out of this jungle, out of this mess, I want to make sure every day's a holiday. And every day's a banquet. I believe every day's a banquet, because if you had to eat that reconstituted dog food, I believe it. Now, I do that to this day. Every meal's a banquet. Man, that's good food. I don't care what it is. McDonald's, whatever, it's a banquet. Okay?
Was there something you kept for like good luck?
I had a St. Christopher's medal that I got, and I wore that quite often. And and the Bible you see in the flak jacket, but not really. You didn't want to be too superstitious over there, because we used to say, we said it quite often, if it's your time, you're going to go, and that's the way it was. And that was the hardest. One of the hardest parts is having your best friends you're blown apart. You had to pick their legs up or arms up, and put them in a bag with them. that was tough. That was just, it was horrific. And, but that was just part of war. But as good luck things, no, not really, not really. Some guys had, the Catholic guys had rosaries. I don't know if that's good luck or not, but, you know, they do their thing with them. But that was about it. Nothing for, I figured a rabbit's foot, rabbit didn't make it. Why would I carry it? You know, I don't know if that's luck or not. Wasn't lucky for the rabbit.
What'd you guys do to entertain yourselves?
What we did to entertain ourselves was sit there and wait until the next time, the next incident happened. We had, okay, put yourself in a position where you've got a 3-hour watch every night. You're an 18, 19-year-old kid. You're in the middle of a jungle, thousands of miles away from home, in the jungle. Guys trying to kill you. Bugs are eating you alive. You have to sit in a foxhole while the 2 other guys are sleeping up here. You have to sit there. And I guarantee you, at nighttime, everything moves. I'm not kidding you. Try it sometime at night. Stare at a tree, it'll move. And you're just a scared kid, you're sitting there, my gosh, oh man, what's gonna happen tomorrow? That wasn't entertainment, but the best thing was when your 3-hour watch was up, the guy came down and relieved you, you got to go back up there and get some rest. But as far as entertainment, not a thing. The best entertainment was is reading letters from home. That was probably about the best, only entertainment we got. Other than that, we were fixing our gear up, you know, going over. I'd go over, being the squad leader, I'd go over maps and compasses with the other guys, because the other guys would have to take out 3-man killer teams. I had to make sure that they knew what they were doing, what was happening, and this and that. And night ambush, you had to make sure everything was just correct and stuff like that. Being a squad leader was a heck of a job. It was a lot of responsibility. Yeah, too much to be honest with you.
So like when you were on night watch, did you like frequently have like the enemy try to move in on you at night, or?
Oh yeah, that's when they tried to get you at nighttime. Yeah, most of the fighting was done at night. Very seldom you'd have firefights in the daytime. The only time you had a firefight in the daytime when you were on patrol and they were on patrol, and you met up. Then you guys had big firefights, big battles. Yeah, and we usually win because we had the air power, and we'd call in the phantoms and stuff like that. You know, was that fair? By God, it was fair to us. You bet. Wasn't fair to them, but that's all right. But yeah, it's just like I say. But nighttime was the main thing. Of most of your combat was done at night. That's when they try to sneak up on you. They'd scope you out during the days, and nighttime would hit. And one thing that I couldn't figure out is you got in a big firefight, they'd send up flares. They'd light us up too. I could never understand that. We're trying to hide too. But that's military for you.
So and then, did you ever go on leave? And if so, what did you do?
Okay, they had what they call R&R, rest and recuperation. After so many months, they wanted to get you out of the jungle because of shell shock and just to calm you down. And you could have a pick from Hawaii, Taipei. There's about 5 different countries you go to for it, and they had R&R centers there, and to rest and relax and things of that nature. Every time I'd go up to Lieutenant, my time would come up. Lieutenant, I got to get out of here. I got an R&R coming. He says, yeah, right. I never did get to go. I was too important to the outfit, see, and I had to stay there. So I never got to. But they did send us on R&R. Well, after a big, we lost most of our men. This after when I took that hill, same operation, Dewey Canyon. It was called Dewey Canyon. They sent us back to the rear. It was a nice naval base type deal. And all the beer and whiskey and steaks, man, for 3 days. They brought in a USO show. Oh, man, I tell you, that was great. And I've got pictures of me, a lot of beer cans around. But that was pretty good. But then they saddle up. We're moving out, going back in the Shaw Valley. It's a bad area along the Laotian border there. But that was the only time we got an R&R that I did. But a lot of the other guys, they got to go, and I heard stories, you know, about them having a good time. I didn't think that was too fair, but they, you know, And, you know, if I had gone on R&R, I'd been worried sick with the men, because, you know, we were just so close. I mean, geez, just, for instance, how close you are, the rifle that shot me, I couldn't bring it in here, but my lieutenant brought it back for me, the one that shot me in the head. He brought it back when I was in the hospital. And he says, remember this? I said, you betcha. And he was in front of his men, 300 men down below him. And he got hold of me, he started crying like a baby, hugging me. And he says, you know, Sarge, my brother and I are the closest people in the world. And I said, you know what? You're a hell of a lot closer than my brother. And there's a guy down there, he says, well, who the hell's that with Lieutenant? He says, that was his sergeant in Vietnam. He said, we're both hugging, crying, because he thought I was dead. You know, but he found out I was alive in Cherry Point Naval Hospital in North Carolina. He brought that rifle to me, and I've got it hanging on my wall at home. Yeah, I didn't think it'd be too kosher to bring it to school. Yeah. Okay.
Damn.
But that's how close you get with one another. It's just camaraderie, and we have reunions now, and boy, I tell you, we hug each other, cry, and just man, we have a great time. You bet.
Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual events that you went on?
Humorous?
Yeah.
Yeah, one that really it kicks in. I set a guy on an OP, observation post, and we were over here, and there's a lot of enemy in the area. He calls me up on the radio, helmet radio, and he says, Sarge, he says, you're not going to believe this. I says, well, I can believe anything over here. And he was a pretty good guy. He was in combat pretty good. He says, I just saw some. I said, what'd you see? Well, I saw some, I saw the enemy. They're walking up the trail up here. I said, what'd you do? I didn't do anything. I said, what'd they do? They turned around and ran. I said, okay, so the lieutenant's monitoring the radio. He says, what is going on down there? I said, I have no idea. Let me check it out. So I go there, and he's still standing to the trail there, and the enemy dropped their rifles, and they took off. So we had a big deal there. Oh, you met Uncle Ho's kid, huh? From Hanoi University. Did you guys chum up a lot? Did you guys swap war stories? How'd it go? His name was Spike. He said, how'd it go, Spike? How'd it go? He was a laughing stock of the outfit. Oh yeah, that was great. So that was humor right there, and you know, it's, we'd never send him on an OP again. He lost his job, but that didn't bother him. Okay.
What did you think of your officers and your fellow soldiers?
I had Lieutenant Smith was a dandy. I had another lieutenant that we called him Gung Ho. He'd got the Silver Star 2 days before going up this hill. He started going up the hill right next to me with a 45. I looked at him, I said, that's kind of stupid. Well, he didn't make it. It was stupid. The lieutenant I had, big red-headed guy. Man, I tell you what, you wouldn't ever want to cross him. And he was top-notch. He was, man, I tell you, he would sometimes come down on the lines with us and start firing when we're getting low on men. And so he was top-notch. And our company commander